episode 41.
We're back. Got a guest in the studio.
We do. This is season 2, and we got our first client guest buddy in the studio. So we got Chris Diggs in the house.
Appreciate you guys having me.
Yeah, no, we're stoked. So we'll get into kind of your career with Nike and Timberland and stuff, and kind of where you're at. But it's been a long relationship with all of us as well as other teammates. So I think it'll be cool to kind of dig into, you know, what you've been doing in the design industry and everything. So
I'm just happy to see you guys in person, man.
Right?
It's good to be here.
Yeah. We were talking about that a little bit when he first got here because he's worked with us. I think, like you said, I met you one time at Nike briefly.
Yeah.
You know,
over a decade of working together and
Yep.
like one face to face, you know?
Yeah, it's crazy.
But yeah, it's cool.
I think the last time for me was 2018 when we got some coffee.
Yeah, when we were still able to meet in public and in person, but no, it's all good.
Cool. Right on. All right, we're going to answer. We got a couple questions, right, Will? Yes, we do. Fire away. What do we got?
Strunkton writes, so damn cool. Any chance to get this workshop in video format? Greets from Austria.
The workshop we're going to do at Creative Works, Dustin and I are in the middle of putting that together. It's crunch time on that.
Yeah, we're putting together a course on, you know, how to build your brand professionally and personally. So It's something that we're going to develop and teach to 30 people in person. I do think we should build a YouTube version, something, maybe it's a course, maybe it's something we give away. I'm not sure what the plans are, but let's do that. Let's let the people, you know, that the 7 billion people who don't get to make it to Creative Works, let's let them watch the content, and I think it's a good idea.
American Surf Shop writes, where do you guys source your hats? If you're into sharing some secrets, keep up the brilliant work.
A lot of the hats are done locally at OSI, Oregon Screen Impressions, big screen printer here in town.
They're the
Really
top-notch
good.
place in the town. I mean, if you've ever met a silk screener, they're all, I mean, no offense to y'all, half of them out there shady, you know what I mean? So they be missing deliverables. They, you know, they don't. The dryer's not to the right temperature.
The quality's not right.
In 2 weeks, your ink starts to crack. So they're literally the best. They, you know, they stand by their word. If there's errors, they're gonna fix whatever's wrong. So yeah, OSI, get your hats there.
One of the things that told me they were great in the beginning was like first big box of T-shirts we got, and it's all taped up, and go to cut the box open with a box cutter, and they have a piece of cardboard underneath, so you don't cut into the first tee or whatever.
Super smart.
Yeah, it's just the little details like that, and it's there every single time. I'm like, sweet, you know, so you can just grab that box and just cut that shit open and jump right in.
I'm sure they learned it the hard way.
Yeah,
Totally.
I'm sure.
Decades ago.
Product.
Yeah, exactly.
And we've been getting tees made for 10, 20 years, and this is the first time I've ever seen that. And I'm like, oh, okay, these guys are professional. Let's stick with him. So I think Zane, shout out to Zane, that dude is the guy. So
yeah. So OSI for the hats. We don't do a lot of like fully custom hats. There are some places overseas you can get that done. We're not doing, you know, 500 to 1,000 of one design, so we keep it local. And
yeah, cut and sew is a big commitment. You're also going to need to be up at midnight to talk to the manufacturers and wherever they're at. So yeah, a little 72-piece run at OSI is great, whether it's embroidery or a patch. Yeah, it's fun stuff.
Yep. I don't actually know your kind of backstory and how you got to Nike and everything, so I think it'd be cool to just kind of hear where you came from and that whole story.
Yeah, man, for sure. I grew up in South Jersey. Grew up on in Atlantic City. Worked on the beach patrol there, and then I went to school in Boston. Instead of working, me and a bunch of friends basically started a magazine, and so we were really into like music at the time. I mean, at that period of my life, it was like, you know, going to a bunch of punk shows and ska shows, but also it was when like raves were still kind of like underground.
That's cool. Yeah,
you know?
they were still raves. Yeah,
and so we were just into that whole vibe, and we started a magazine and met up with this other guy who was doing his own magazine, and we became an entity within his publication. And I think it's still going now, Boston's Weekly Dig or Boston's Weekly. I moved to Cali, and again, just took that sort of, you know, do-it-yourself approach, and I started doing my own cut and sew, going down the Fabric District and downtown LA, and I found this lady to sew stuff. So I just started making my own, gear, screen printing it, and doing heat press stuff, doing a lot of photography. And then I started getting jobs with, O'Neill and Ezekiel back in the
Oh,
day.
shit, I
You
haven't heard
know?
that name in a
Shout
long
out
time.
Ezekiel, dude.
It's
Yeah.
crazy,
Dang,
right?
wow.
That's a fun logo. We'll pop that logo on screen. That's
Yeah,
a fun
yeah,
one.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I wonder what happened with them. I'm not even sure.
There's
but-
so many of those
Who
brands that are
knows?
kind of like there was an era, and then you kind of grow up and forget
Drawers.
about them.
Yeah,
all
drawers, yeah.
Santa Monica. What was it? TSA. There's
totally.
all
Yeah.
kinds of those
It's
fun
crazy,
brands.
right?
What city did you move down to? And
Well, I lived in Redondo Beach
Okay,
first,
sick.
and then I lived in Long Beach.
love it. Hell yeah.
I couldn't bring myself to move into LA proper. It's just not.
Yeah, that's
not
it's
really,
heavy.
I need to stay sort of close to the ocean, I think. So, but it's funny though, because I was just hustling, man, for like 6 months out of my 5-year experience living in Southern California. I was hustling speakers out of a van, like
Nice,
rolling
yeah.
up, like, dude, you need a
Yeah.
set of speakers, pull over,
Shit.
And then I got jacked one too many times, and so what happened was after finally just building up my own brand, so to speak, then it came down to I was interviewing with Quicksilver and Nike at the same time, and basically Quicksilver couldn't touch Nike's offer, and next thing you know, I relocated up to Portland. That was like 2005 when Portland was still sort of like slow. Well, it's still slow pace, but
It's very small.
I basically moved up here and I was like, what'd I just do? It was like, I think it rained twice in California over 5 years. And I moved here and it was like, it rained for like 40 days straight,
Yeah.
but
Just to go from Boston to SoCal to Portland, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah,
that
it's
is
hitting the-
totally
hitting-
different.
hitting the corners. But if I had come from Boston straight to Portland, it would,
Yeah,
Would've
pretty
been
similar,
fine.
yeah.
You
Fairly
go
similar,
east
you
to
know?
SoCal, yeah. That's the problem.
but then Nike, that was 2005 with Nike, and that was just an incredible experience. I had 12 years there, so
Yeah, nice.
it was great, man.
Cool. Let's look at a couple tees we worked on you with. I think this first set was training,
Yep.
and this actually we did. You and I worked on it when we were up here when we first moved up.
Yep,
from San Diego.
first moved up here. Which
Yeah.
shoot,
Really?
I mean, just to talk on it, that's the reason we moved up here. I think we flew up for a meeting. I think with you, somebody.
Yeah.
We got to go to campus.
Yep.
And it was it was the craziest experience for myself. It was like Disneyland for designers. We got to go in the art department, and they had shit taped up on the walls, and it was just it was an awesome experience. So
Oh yeah, remember that wall? We went in the one time and there was a wall of all sketches. And they're all taped up, I think, with
Painter's
blue,
tape?
Yeah, blue painter's tape.
Yeah.
And we were like, "Fuck, that looks sick."
And
Like, it's
Yeah.
so simple, but it looks amazing.
Yeah.
You know?
I've
Like,
wanted to replicate that since then. Like, Dan,
Yeah.
we need a room that we could like tape stuff on the
Yeah.
walls. So it just seemed like a very fun environment,
So fun.
inspiring. Everyone's there. In that time I went there, you look to the left, somebody's doing some cool pattern. Somebody on the right's drawing, something awesome. So, and that's why Dan's, we had a studio in San Diego, and he's like, "Hey, we're moving to Portland. You want to come?" And it's like, "Dude, let's go." You know.
Oh, I remember that transition. And I was like, "Damn, what are you doing, dude? Like you're leaving Southern California. Don't do it, bro."
Leaving San Diego. Yeah. I mean, I've told the story a bunch of times, but like just where you were in LA, ton of brands, ton of studios, ton of work from the movie industry, brands, all this shit. I grew up in San Diego. I did not. When we closed the old studio, I wanted something different. New clientele, new basically talent, things like that. And I thought about LA, and I'm like, fuck, man, I can't go to LA. I've just grown up in San Diego. A lot of people in San Diego don't ever move to LA. It's just so much fast paced, just totally different. So then, like, talking to Dustin, I'm like, dude, we should let's do Portland. Like, they respect the creative community.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good, big brands there. And to me, honestly, like the rain and the weather, fuck, we do a job where you sit inside the whole time. You know what I mean? It bugged me in San Diego, like, inside, all year long, looking outside, and it's
Yeah,
always
that's a
80
good
degrees,
point.
and you're like, fuck, I should be outside,
It makes it
Where
easy
here-
to lock in. Those 9 months, it's like
Totally.
we're gonna lock in
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
do this whatever, and then the 3 months in summer we'll slow down, go outside a little bit.
Try to be free so
Yeah.
you can get out to the river or whatever.
You cherish the summer months,
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, the creative scene here is great. There's a lot of opportunity,
Yeah.
and the weather's not too bad. I mean, summers are perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Summers
Yeah.
are
They're amazing.
And then the cities, Portland's come a long way since I've been here.
I bet. Yeah, you've been here
We
a
had
while.
a little bit of a dip at the pandemic, but
Yeah.
but it's still a great place to be. And dude, that RV you guys got,
Oh yeah.
That thing is legit.
It's
Oh, yeah.
fun, dude.
That thing
That
gets
is
us
so
around,
sick.
and
Yeah.
that gets us down to SoCal now, and then
There
we
you
come
go.
back.
Can sleep
Cool.
up to 6
Yeah,
dudes.
we've
More than
had
that.
all of us and Jake over here, and
That's
yeah,
awesome,
we've had
dude.
a few too many grown men in that thing, trying to find a place to sleep.
Yeah, even just driving to SoCal, 22 hours one
Yeah.
way, Dan just mashing it out. We're drinking in the back, you know.
Yeah.
Sounds fun, man.
It's a lot of
Drinking
fun.
water.
Yes,
No, it's legal.
Right.
it is. Yeah,
Colorado
Absolutely.
Kool-Aid.
Yep. Yeah.
Nice.
Cool. Let's just run through a couple of these. This whole training thing was fun.
So fun.
We kind of talked about earlier before we started shooting this tee on the right. It was, I mean, and you guys, and you specifically, even you guys, the briefs we would get from you guys were kind of like, I mean, we've talked about this with other clients, because in a way it was kind of like a dream brief where you guys like have this inspiration and kind of like this plus sign and then a blank tee, like see this, and then we want it over here, and it was very detailed.
Yeah, this
Like-
one specifically, I think there was
Yeah.
a hand that the chalk was coming off their hands because they were lifting weights. So it's like, okay, how can we implement this chalk texture vibe? And on the right tee here, you can see we figured it out, but it was definitely a fun challenge, Rubik's Cube of like, man, how do we get this, chalk feeling? Do we scan some images of some chalk? Like, how do we get there? But some of those fun ones are like really scary in the beginning. You're like, damn, I don't know how we're going to do this, but it's that challenge that makes it that much better in the end.
I try to be very, strategic with the brief where, here, it's based on this concept and this idea. Here's some inspiration, but then you have to let the team have their creative freedom to bring their expertise to the table too, and that's what you guys always deliver on. And so that briefing process was important. But that tee in particular that we're talking about, it was just based on the insight of like, all right, dudes in the gym, like do it with the chalk, like let's play into that texture a bit. Let's connect it back to a Just Do It, so it's grounded in Nike DNA. And yeah, you guys nailed the texture on that. And we were talking about how it executed on the tee, and it printed great. It was so just those subtle nods, I think, were important.
Yeah, that's cool. Let's move on here. Yep, there it is, kind of big, which is
Yeah.
fun.
To this day, I think it's still my favorite type piece. And I when I first started getting know you and Dustin was when it was around that time.
It was.
Yeah.
That's when you
Yeah.
were interning. You were going to
Yeah.
college. Yep.
I was like,
Yeah.
damn, that's sick.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you were probably in the studio when Dustin was working on that. That's right.
Thanks, dog.
Yeah.
I thought it was sick too.
Every tee had an idea, a concept, or a story behind it.
Yeah.
It was never like, hey, just make a dope,
Right.
make us 5 cool tees. Like, we get that shit, and it's like, fuck. Like, there was a reason for, like you said, for all of these, So,
Yeah, even just to do the JDI and not Futura was something that was fun and different. I think I've used Beatboss on there, and it's still the same, but just a little different, just add some flavor to it. So
Well, it's interesting you bring that up, because Nike's Nike, but there's several categories within the brand, and so there was always, especially for training, it was how do you create your own sort of identity within the brand, right? And so we explored different typefaces that still felt part of the Nike family, but were specific to training. And the other challenge with training was, with basketball and with soccer and football and stuff, it's a sport that you can connect to. There's athletes, and training is almost sport agnostic, and so it was a little bit challenging to put an identity on that. And so after a while, we just flipped it on its head, and we basically said, well, training is the path to all sports, and it's there was actually a campaign we did around, it was based off Just Do It, but it was Just Don't Quit, and then you'd cross out certain elements of it, and it was like, no, just do it. So it was about that, speaking into the breaking point in the off season, and that was the difference between the elite athletes and
that's cool.
average athletes. So we were able to develop a story and a bit of an identity for that category within the company, but
That's cool.
it was always a challenge.
Yeah.
Sorry, man, I'm just like
No, I love it.
chatting away.
Yeah,
No, it's good stuff.
great. Yeah,
I mean, just
for
onto
sure.
that point, they sometimes internally they use a font called Souvenir. If anyone's listening out there, best font ever. Bring more Souvenir into all your stuff. I love that shit. Yeah, great letter form.
oh yeah, this stuff was dope.
Cool. So on this next page, the Nike Air Air Max. This was fun.
This has got to be my personal favorite project of my whole career, life, everything. When this came through the door 10 years ago, I was just so excited. This was amazing. This is all Davey stuff here, and
There's a bunch of other comps.
Davey Mighty Short
Mighty
is
Short.
the best also. So to see what the stuff he was doing, and I was trying to compete with him, creatively. It's fun and scary at the same time, and just to see the stuff brings back super fun memories.
With that Air Max 90 lockup, you're taking cues from the iconic elements from that shoe. Even the visible air pocket, and then that sort of striping that happens on the badge on the back of the shoe. Like, those subtle nods are really cool. And then locking it up in like this classic sport sort of lockup, like simple and clean.
But those sneaker fans are going to notice every single one of those details and be like, "Oh, that was the museum that Tinker and referenced in France or wherever was it." And
it's crazy.
Great
right?
collection, yeah.
What's dope is like, I'm always a big fan of like neutral colors with one pop.
Nope.
But even as a one color graphic, these were legit.
Yeah, they were good just on black or just on white.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a fun to just explore the idea of air. We were doing hot air balloons, and we were doing bicycle pumps, and we were looking at the molecule, the air molecule, and just some different stuff out there. Super fun.
Yeah, I remember some of the sketches you guys, like, that was basically where we landed with the final, but you guys did a ton of sketches that were really dope. And
we'll show those on here.
The train of thought was fresh,
Yeah, so moving on to this next one, Damaso did this. If you let Damaso go wild with just like, hey, we need some type, like, you get some crazy shit back. But yeah, he crushed it on this whole type piece.
Yeah.
This shit's gnarly.
Yeah.
We were talking about color separators earlier. I kind of feel for him a little bit, especially to get to work on black. That flash layer is going to just be basically freaking solid. But, dude, that shit looks so good.
Yeah, that's cool. It's got a lot of energy. You see a different style sort of emerging from this piece here. And this really was, like, inspired by actually European Foot Locker they were selling through t-shirts like you wouldn't believe. And so and the more colorful, the more energetic, the better. This was sort of like the beginning of this phase we went through of like, all right, man, let's just go balls to the wall with illustration and color. And this was again a mashup of some of the legacy franchise footwear pieces from Nike, and then throwing it through like that graffiti sort of filter. But yeah, you guys definitely killed it. I love the mashup of different types of type treatments, and the energy on color was insane.
I mean, here's the total opposite. Something that's actually wearable. The texture to it is so good. The yellow lines just really drive the concept all the way home.
Yeah, conquer the court.
Yeah, a little more of a simple vibe here. This is when I started to transition from like just these one-off tees to, well, let's build a story, let's build a collection. And the story behind these two graphics, which were part of a larger pack of graphics, but this was West Coast inspired, like Venice Beach basketball.
That's where the palm leaves and stuff came
just being inspired by the concrete court, the palm trees. I think the one thing about, working with Nike, and you guys can attest to this, I'm sure, but it always comes back to storytelling, and so, and that's where I think it becomes really fun for us as designers. And, you spoke to it before about just having a concept or having it start from an idea, but then we just started building that out even more, and like, all right, let's build a collection, and this is the theme of the collection. Let's build the story around it. And so I really enjoy that aspect of design.
These sketches of the skulls were fun, and this was Foot Locker, right?
Yeah, for sure. So again, like the really detailed illustration style, and just having some fun. And I was super inspired by all the skate graphics you guys were doing. The concept here was, again, everything at Foot Locker was based on sneaker culture. So, but I'm like, how do we make a badass sort of skull, but tie in, the notion of footwear and sneakerhead. So this was kind of like one of the many iterations we did around sneakerhead. Obviously the skulls and the variations you did on that were sick, but he's like focusing in on the shoes and his collection, etc. So again, there's a little bit of a story behind it, but at the end of the day, like, this was just a great execution of illustration style for sure.
Yeah, the shading alone just really does it for me. Brandon's shading is top notch.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, that black line. Can't go wrong with that. And then at some point, you stepped away from Nike, went freelance for a while, right?
Yeah, I started my own design studio. Found some pretty good success pretty early on, which was cool. One of my favorite projects was working on with the team at Supra. Shout out to Steve Harden. Definitely a good guy and a huge ally for these projects. You know, Supra was launching a couple new products. This one, the Static, I think we had a concept around. It was kind of like a mashup of like, because it was inspired by the past, but it was, you know, built for the future with different innovation and stuff. So I was always a fan of Frankie's work, man, and he just brought the fire on some of these motion graphic treatments. And so, yeah, so the story here was the idea of raised on concrete was the tagline, but it was like a collection of shoes, and some were meant to be more lifestyle, and this one was really meant to be like the instigator, right? The aggressive one, really inspired by the skate culture, but it was more of a lifestyle shoe. And so that's why we developed that aesthetic and that sort of messaging. And again, I just love the aesthetic that Frankie brought on this one for sure.
Grit and texturing.
It's just a visually amazing looking video. You know, I'm not aware of really the message, and every time I watch it, I'm just like, oh man, I love that. We need something Lincoln that has that texture, that vibe. Like that shit looks so good.
Yeah.
It was a pleasure working with you on that stuff, man, and it's been a pleasure even working. I'm glad we've been able to connect the dots here at Lincoln, and
yeah, for
the
sure.
work we did with Timberland. I'm super stoked on.
Funny how it comes back around.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, full circle. So then you moved on, took a position at Timberland, right?
Yeah,
Creative director over there.
yeah, essentially. So
I'm seeing a theme here. You're like the shoe guy.
I'd say
can't
that's a
break
great
out.
market.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
I wasn't really looking to go back brand side. The opportunity was just one I couldn't turn down. You know,
cool.
Global creative director for marketing, and with Timberland, the way we're positioned now was new and fresh, and the foundation of how we're moving the brand forward. It just feels authentic to me. It feels like, you know, the brand has a really purpose-driven heart and soul, and you know, a lot of brands say that, but don't really follow through on it. And I really believe that Timberland, you know, is doing the right thing in that regard. And I appreciate where the brand is going, and I'm happy to be a part of it, honestly.
That's cool. Yeah. I mean, even with the project, you reached out to us for this motion project, and even that project is based around sustainability and that whole circle, which was kind of cool. But yeah, let's talk a little bit about that project, because that was, you came to us, timeline was pretty tight. I'm like, Frankie, you sure on this thing? Because we got
a month, less than a month,
short
Pretty
window,
much, yeah.
short window on this bad
I thought
boy.
that was a lot of time.
Yeah.
Usually it's like, we need something in a week.
It was a.
Well, for me, this was a no-brainer to reach out with you guys because I wanted this to be, I wanted to tell a really dope story through motion graphics, but I also wanted to leverage illustration, and so obviously, you know, Lincoln was the call for that, right? So the story behind this shoe is this was one of the first shoes created under our Timberloop platform. It's a circular design platform, where this shoe was literally designed and engineered to be disassembled at the end of its life, and all the separate parts would go back into the recycling stream, which I just thought was a super cool concept. And then from a illustration standpoint, how you guys were able to illustrate the idea of the shoe being disassembled and stuff like that. So, but I love the 3D elements too. Like some of these other graphics, the secondary support graphics, like the shoe within the cloud, speaks to the lightweight, you know, benefit of the shoe. I think you did another graphic that was the outline of a shoe made up of plastic bottles, which spoke to our rebottle technology of using recycled plastic. Again, it's just that level of storytelling and how deep can we go at every touch point.
That's the more fun part of my job, is coming up with concepts and then being able to execute. But the concepts are the heart of everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was one of the days we were working on the project, and Frankie's like, "Yo, come look at this," and he's like, "Do you think I should do this?" And he has the shoe made out of bottles and the shoe made out of clouds, and I'm like, "Oh shit, yeah, yes, you have to. This is it right here, like done. You know, project's good." So I was really excited when
I've been doing a lot more 3D, so being able to implement those skills with new projects it's always fun.
You gave us such a dope menu of graphics to play with that I wanted to use everything in as much as I could, but it was super helpful for us because, again, you got the concept and then you've got, a great sort of video that tells the story. But then I have to think about, all right, well, how's this show up at retail? How's it show up on .com and through social, et cetera? So we were able to take that graphic menu and apply it to, web banners or, paid media and stuff like that. Right. So it was a really good sort of process to work with you guys on. And I think we approached it in a really strategic way where it was like, kudos to you guys, and sorry for the pressure on that, but you got it done quick and
put some time in on that.
Yeah. So it was a really dope project, man, and I really appreciated collaborating with you guys on that.
Yeah, it was cool. I mean, we got Davey did some illustration that was a part of it as well, which was cool to get him involved, and then Frankie, of course, with a lot of this couldn't be accomplished without their 3D skills.
Yeah, I think overall there were so many different, like to your point, we had 3D rendering, we had video editing, there was like background elements, there was illustrations then those illustrations were animated. So there are so many pieces to the puzzle where normally if we're doing a campaign or an overall look, maybe it's going to just, let's just focus on 3D. Let's just focus on illustration. Let's have it be cohesive. And in some way, we figured out a way to make it cohesive with all these different like types of design. So it was just fun to see to come together. Frankie worked his magic, and the shit's sick. Yeah, I'm sure we're gonna play it here, on the screen. But super fun to watch the whole process. I was able to sit down with Frank and spitball ideas, and he was able to bring them to life. And I'm just like, oh shit, that's exactly what I was seeing. So very fun project, and hopefully we can do another one in the future. Just because it's so much fun to do the full campaign.
Shout out to Chris McGrath and the footwear design team at Timberland as well. He was featured in this video because I think it's really cool to hear it from the designers and from the innovation team. So yeah, shout out to the crew.
That was a cool part too, being able to implement assets that were already there.
Yeah.
And they maybe weren't intended to be as part of the marketing campaign. It was audio of somebody speaking, and we're like, we could just utilize that, totally. But even speaking to the shoe, you sent us one or two pair, and seeing it was pretty gnarly. I mean, it literally has scissors on the shoe with a dotted line where you freaking cut the shoe in half, and I've never seen anything like that. So it was kind of cool. And I believe we cut one in half, if I remember right. And
oh, by the way, I need that back.
Oh,
in one piece.
Y'all cut that up? What the hell?
You can have it back, but I'm just kidding. Yeah, just a crazy idea.
A great idea.
Yeah.
Ultimate sort of end goal, especially with where the scissors are placed on that shoe, is that if you simply cut this one main thread, then the whole thing it's not going to fall apart right away. But that was the idea. It was like, boom, this is like the linchpin that's holding everything together. So
somebody had to figure that out. You cut this one, you can actually unroll the whole damn shoe.
Yeah.
I mean, I could see high up people be like, you're putting a scissor, they're going to destroy the product. Bad idea. I could totally see the opposite end, but I think overall it was a really fun, cool concept, and it sounds like you guys are running forward with it.
Yeah,
and,
I'm excited.
That's cool.
Yeah, we'll see where the team takes it, but as long as they're providing stories like this, it makes our job as marketeers and designers a lot easier.
All right, well, I think that's about it. Covered. You're going to keep trucking along over there, and yeah, we're stoked to work with you, and it was a great project. Frankie crushed it, and all good.
I appreciate you guys having me out here.
Sure.
Always appreciate the collaboration, the partnership. I got so much respect for you guys. So
likewise,
looking forward to a lifetime more of this collaboration. So
cool.
Hell yeah.
Appreciate you coming out here to the cabin. I think we're out on the beach today.
Beautiful.
The cabin kind of moves around in different settings. Last time we were on Hood. This time we kind of got the beach setting.
I can't believe you guys built this cabin here on the beach. This is impressive.
Thank you.
Dan's down to put the work in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Half Dan, half machine. He was out here cutting the logs down. We got the freaking axe over here.
Yeah, no, I can see that he's been putting in some work for sure.
I mean, on the clock, he's chopping it up here in the episode. Off the clock, he's chopping it up. Building the studio space. So I mean, he's doing the thing.
I'm surprised we get Wi-Fi reception out here. It's so
True.
remote.
Yeah,
you know?
we're fortunate.
Well, we got the new Starlink. Shout out to Elon. It's up.
We should probably get out there though. Are you guys down for that? Or?
Yeah. I mean, this looks like big waves.
Let's
Yeah,
call
no, it's
it.
gonna be
Get barreled.
epic.
It's probably cold. I'm a Cali boy. That's probably a little cold for me, but
That's true. We'll be all right though.
you got the 5.6 I could borrow maybe.
I
The
do.
suit. Yeah.
I do.
Okay.
So we got a new product in the shop there. So a new sticker sheet from our friends at diecutsticker.com. So
This shit's fun, dude.
those are up. Yeah, they're fun.
Damn, dude.
Yeah,
That's like
so-
when I was a kid, $2-3 a sticker. This is
I
a
know,
steal
right?
right here,
No
dude.
doubt. This is super high quality too,
Yeah.
man. Honestly, this is
I mean,
legit.
the little cooler on there, that's
they're fun.
great, dude.
Yeah.
I still got the same cooler. I should probably upgrade, but
Yeah, the little igloo on
Yeah.
there. Yep. So yeah, those are in the shop. Yeah, and I think that's about it. That's a wrap on episode 41.
hell yeah. Like, subscribe, comment, hit the bell.
Yep.
Leave. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let us know what you want to see next time.
Cool. All right, Chris. Thank you.
Cool. Yeah. Thanks a lot.
Right on.
Appreciate it.
Yep.